Just waiting for more people to get in. So if you're new here, we talk about creativity. I've been playing with this idea recently about things that I wish I learned in art school. There's this idea that, man, I don't think something that they don't talk about enough is like how much your commitments, your focus, your motivation needs to change in your creative process, in your life as an artist. I think so many of us are used to feeling, especially for anyone who's spent a season being stuck or doubting themselves, so many people are used to relating to their art the same way they did when they were kids, and then wondering why they feel stuck. And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough, is what it really takes to be an artist and to make life out of art. Does that make sense? Did you guys go to art school? I'm really excited because I just launched I've had a lifelong dream to start an art school, but I'm not qualified to necessarily teach technique the way that we learn when we're in undergrad, stuff like that. But I've always wanted to create like a continuing education thing. And I did. I started it this month. It's called lifeisartschool.com. The website isn't up and running, but yeah, I'm starting with summer school. The spring semester ended on the 31st, and the summer semester starts June 15th. We've already got about 20 people enrolled, which I'm really excited about. I'm just waiting for more people to get in here. Thank you for the likes, subscribes, and all that help the algorithm. So thank you. Let me see if I can connect my TikTok. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. What would you tell a lazy artist? Depends on, I don't believe in laziness. I think laziness is a judgment, an assessment of a grouping of behavior. I don't think it's actually the behavior. I would need to know why a person is quote unquote lazy. But I think there's tons of, I don't know, the framework that I have in my classroom, there's 1,000 people have come through my classroom over the last several years. And, we're all adults for the most part. And I think a lot of people are used to relating to their creativity through the lens of the matrix, which is how productive am I being? And that productivity that matrix orientation is not really where creativity rests. That's not where creativity comes from. And a person, I think, oftentimes doesn't really understand the extent to which they are invested in how the matrix decides what creativity is: networking, productivity, going viral, making money, laurels, meritocracy, etc. If a person is lazy, that without knowing more about you, that would make me think that a person is struggling to feel engaged. And I think that's an important distinction that an artist needs to land on. There's a difference between not being productive and not being engaged in their art in the way that art requires, which is oftentimes not even what we think we want. Sometimes what we want is for people to like us, to validate us. But that's not what art is about. And yeah, I think For an artist who is stuck, this is a huge thing that we start all of my courses, even my one-on-one clients, that kind of a thing, but certainly in my classroom, my students, we have to get clear. And then we're going to spend about 2 weeks doing this in summer school. You have to get clear on the basics. What are the raw materials of the creative process of being an artist, being an adult artist? Are you aware that these raw materials, these pillars of artistry must change over time? And this is something that is underscored by the great spiritual frameworks, the great aesthetic philosophical frameworks. Do you know who your audience is? Do you know for whom you create? Do you know why? Do you know what you're creating? Do you know what art's objective is with your life? Are you used to thinking of artistry as service and stewardship, a responsibility? Or are you conditioned habitually, because that's what every artist, however, every artist starts, into using art to feel good about yourself? Not there's anything wrong with that, but there is the most durable wisdom disseminated through the generations of our species is how to be an effective artist. That is the single objective focus of the earliest myths, the earliest stories, the orientation of the shaman, of the stories depicted on the cave paintings, etc. The oldest wisdom in the world, the most consistent wisdom in the world, is about creativity, because every human being is an artist. In the same way that every caterpillar must become a butterfly, every human being must be an artist of service. That does not necessarily mean that you turn your art as a vocation. The way that a lot of people are conditioned into thinking about their art is that their creativity, their art is something that fits well into the marketplace. Painter, writer, something like that. But that's, thank you. Is it Stacy? Stacey? Mitch? Hold on, I see your question. Hold on, let me get my TikTok live going. Let me do Instagram today. I know I'll do TikTok. But yeah, feel free to drop your questions. If you have a discussion topic, I like to prioritize supporters. My supporter tier on my page is, I'm going to be building out my YouTube platform a lot more in the fall. But in the meantime, support helps a great deal. I've been a one-woman show for the last 3 years doing this, and I've got a lot, and I quit my day job in finance almost 2 years ago to focus on this stuff. And I just have a lot to give. So your support means a lot. 1 second, I keep getting distracted. You're welcome. Okay, so I've got live and YouTube going. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, service and stewardship. So how do I deal with imposter syndrome? A couple of ways. One, and I'm just getting warmed up for the day. It's pretty early for me, although I got up really early, so I'm both tired and still feels like morning. It's 11:20 a.m. where I am in Mexico City. Hello, TikTok. I'm doing a joint live on TikTok and YouTube. I think on YouTube I'll be able to engage with your questions a little bit more if you want to head over to Vanessa Life is Art, but either way. Yeah, the question is, how do I deal with imposter syndrome? I hate the word syndrome. And this is a question that really grinds my gears. And I say everything with love, so forgive my tone if my tone starts to mount in a second. I think it might. This word syndrome really eats y'all up. Y'all really are convinced that there is a disease of some kind. Not that it's that literal in your mind, but the way we relate to these things. Generally, I am at war in my classroom with my clients, etc., with the way that we relate to our art. The name of my platform is called Life is Art. And I emphasize that for me, it encapsulates a lot. The way a lot of people are conditioned into relating to their art, including the friction that rests on the path, is everyone is ready to say that there's something wrong with them. Oh, I have imposter syndrome. I'm lazy. Why do you think that? To answer your question again, the question is about imposter syndrome. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, TikTokers. I'm on YouTube. YouTube is where I can engage with if you want to ask a direct question, it'll be a little bit more easier for me, but you're welcome to stay where you are. Thank you for the likes, everybody. The likes helps the algorithm. I'm a community member on. How do I deal with imposter syndrome? There's two ways I want to answer this. One, please put down the habit of relating to yourself and your creative process as if you are broken, as if friction is not supposed to be there. Art is hard as hell. Art is extremely difficult. Is anyone here a lifetime creative? Been in it for a few decades? Anybody? Hey, hey, hey. Anyone an adult? Anyone here a human being? Hand. Anyone your hand? TikTok chat is frying you guys in terms of engagement. I'm just going to say that. It's usually not the case. Art is hard, as life is hard. Anyone remember being a kid, and being so mad at your parents for, aside from the things that they did to us, I think most of us say that we were raised by wild animals. Outside of that stuff, which I know is not light for most of us, the mistakes our parents made. Outside of that, anyone remember being a kid and being like, oh, my mom is so stressed out. Why do we have a bedtime? I'm answering your question in long form, so sit with me. Bear with me, rather. I remember looking at my mom and just thinking, almost at every stage of my life, up until recently, thinking that as long as I get over this hump, I'll be in the clear. As soon as I make it to the fourth grade, as soon as my mom gets rid of my bedtime, as soon as I get to high school, as soon as I get to college, as soon as I get a job. Now, what's the theme? These are economic milestones dangled in front of us like a carrot. As soon as you get here, everything will be better. And then you get there. And it's hard all over again for reasons you could not have anticipated. It's better for reasons that you could not have anticipated, just the same. But again, the question is, how do I deal with imposter syndrome? One, relating to yourself as if you are broken because you experience friction in the creative process means that you are absolutely, indicates to me without knowing you more, indicates to me, certainly within myself, now how the fuck did I start expecting art to be easy? Wait a minute. Art is the primordial objective of the human species. Why do I expect it to be without friction? Another way I want to answer this question. But just to hammer that home, you relate to your fear entirely too much. You relate to your fear entirely too much. Thank you guys for the likes and the follows and the subscribes. I've got a gift goal here. I think it's on my end, it's in Mexican pesos. So 50 Mexican pesos is $5 US. Your support means the world to me. You relate to your fear entirely too much. And it makes me sad. It upsets me. It frustrates me from a loving place. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that my generation. Oh, hey, Lily. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lily, for the gift. Just so TikTok people know, I will have an easier time answering your questions on YouTube Live, although YouTube is pretty quiet, so I might have to pivot that. But I really want you to stop relating to yourself as if you're broken. This idea, imposter, someone on the internet told you that you have a syndrome, and you believed it. Imposter syndrome. What else? Someone else is going to tell you that you have something else wrong with you, and you're going to believe it. When will you start to think for yourself? When will you start to, when? And I'm not saying when as if there's something wrong with you, I'm on your side. But what I'm here to do and remind you and tell you, and this is the theme of my school that I run for adult creatives, is that the shit starts to change when you do what the old spiritual texts, what the old shamans, what every great wise person in the human lineage has to say about the tradition of being an artist, not the vocation of being an artist, that you will get wind underneath your sails, behind your sails, so to speak, when you start to see that art is a responsibility. Yes, endless pathology. You will start to move differently, mysteriously. You will, for mysterious reasons. Imagine a caterpillar being like, how do I do it? And then imagine the wise elder butterfly whispering down to the caterpillar and be like, hey, one day you're going to grow wings. And when those wings grow, it's going to hurt, but you must start flying. That's how germane the creative process is. There are to a human being, to every single human being, that there are fixtures in the human life that are all related to being creative. And you guys think that this is my little mindset. You guys think that this is my little interesting reframe. And I'm here, let me be explicitly clear that that is not true. This is not my little way of seeing the world. This is the way that the world is. And if you do not know that, that's okay. I didn't know it either until I learned it from my mentor. But if you do not know that, that tells me, if you do not know that every human being is supposed to be creative, that they already are, that you already have a high vision of what your life is supposed to be installed in you at birth. You already know and are familiar with who your audience is. You were born with it. If you do not know that, my thesis as a lifetime artist as an amateur scholar of this stuff, as someone whose full-time job it is to coach hundreds of creatives a month. If you do not know that, and as a Marxist, I might say, also, a disciplined Marxist, not someone who just like hates capitalism and is just like doing all this, just being upset all day long. That's not what a disciplined Marxist is. If you do not know that that's what it means to be a human being, that every human being goes through a rite of passage in their life on behalf of their creative unfolding, that every human being goes through a process of resisting that call to adventure, resisting that rite of passage, resisting that coming of age on behalf of their creativity, that everything in life conspires, including the technology of your own body, everything conspires to help you become a more efficient steward of creativity on behalf of the audience. Art is a technology. If you do not know that, I would wager that means you're getting your ass kicked by the Matrix. You're getting fried. You're getting gobbled up by every little propaganda in the universe. Week after week, you gobbled up like it was gummy bears. Like, oh yeah, I guess I am. I guess I do have the congenital disease of imposter syndrome. You can hear it in my voice, I'm starting to get more animated. I guess I do have limerence. I guess I am anxiously attached. You heard it on the internet and then you believed it like it was gospel. You believed that more than you, and then you took the bait and stopped listening to your God-given instinct. Imagine if a bird watched television long enough, scrolled on TikTok long enough, and watched TikTok long enough, and then developed some sort of imposter syndrome about flying. That's what I'm talking about. What's not making sense? What's not making sense? I say all this with love. Hold on, give me a second. I drank too much water. Talk amongst yourselves. Any gifts that you can give? I get a $5 gift before I get back from the restroom. That would make me really happy, but not necessary. I'm just also trying to demonstrate that you cannot be afraid to advertise for your services and ask for support. And I know many of you have that weird friction between money and art. And we're going to talk about that. I'll be right back. Okay. So I'm still talking about imposter syndrome. The other way I want to answer that question did I make my point? Did anyone just remember waking up? Does anyone just absolutely gobsmacked by how paralyzed they feel? Oh my gosh. Thank you, Nature's Galaxy. That means a lot to me. Anyone just notice how more fearful we are as a species? You know, it's on you to fix that. It's on you. Thank you. Anyway, I want to finish up this long-winded point about imposter syndrome. The other thing that I work with my clients a lot is if you feel like an imposter, again, it's related to this idea that there is friction in the creative process. And why do you think it's bad? Why do you think it's bad? What if the friction is good? God is the creator. You were creative. So what's wrong with your creative process and what it feels like? What's wrong with it? I have a fear of being seen. Why? What? Who the fuck told you you have a fear of being seen? Who said that? And you believed it as if it's a disease. Oh, how come your work's not there? Because I have a fear of being seen. What? What? You guys, where is your dignity? God is the creator in every tradition. I don't care. I'm Roman Catholic. I don't care what tradition you're in. I don't care who it is. I don't care when or who or where your tradition is from. In every tradition, separated by time, land, culture, and language, they call their God the creator. And here you are creative. And in your mind, you think you're broken. Well, everyone else is doing it right, but I'm feeling a fear of being seen. So that means that there's something wrong with my little tiny life form. Something wrong with me. Thank you, guys. Karis, thank you. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Putting your ass out there with your art is not easy. But a fear of being seen, again, related to this long-winded answer to the question, what about imposter syndrome? A lot of you think, I have a fear of being seen. Who said what is actually going on? If you disentangle yourself from the habit of relating to your creative process and your life built around art through the lens of fear, if you take and hold the idea that I'm fine, not that it's easy, not that I'm where I want to be yet, not that I'm good yet, but I'm fine. I'm unconditionally loved. If you hold that for a second as an exercise, all of you, thank you for the likes on TikTok, guys. It helps. I'm on a mission here in the next couple of weeks to drive attention to my online school for artists. And so even if you're not able to join, algorithmic stuff does help. Sharing and liking and boosting helps a great deal, more than you realize if you're not doing this for your full-time job. It's a hell of a thing to feel, at least in some ways, dependent on the algorithm and the grace of strangers who support you on the internet. If you held your dignity in one hand, and in the other hand, the idea that you are creative no matter what happens. You're creative when you sleep. You are creative when they bury you 6 feet in the ground. You're creative when you spend 10 years grieving your mother and you can't pick up your paintbrush at all. You're still creative. The creative process is still working on you. You're still learning and becoming fluent in life, which is what an artist is. Absolutely fluent in life. If you hold the idea that you are creative and you have dignity, more dignity than any species on the planet, in the cosmos, God created humans with elevated dignity, then this imposter syndrome, you can go about it a number of ways. I'm an imposter. Okay, what does that mean? You feel like you don't belong. I talk about this a lot in the Villain Challenge. I talk about this a lot with my clients one-on-one. Happens a lot in my classroom. It's a very common question. You feel like an imposter. Okay, well, what's your medium? Let's say your medium is you're a writer. Let's say you're a 28-year-old writer. You want to be a writer. You journal a lot. You really want to write. Someone told you that you were a writer a long time ago, and you kind of stuck with it, maybe not with a lot of seriousness, but you always kind of wanted to see yourself in that way. And now at 28, because you've been on the internet scrolling for 5 years straight, 6 years straight since that pandemic, since that quarantine, you got your ass locked into the internet in a way that is bad for your everything. Someone told you have imposter syndrome and you believe them. But let's isolate it outside of shame. Shame says you're an imposter. But let's look at it with dignity, as if you are unconditionally loved by God the Creator. One way to look at this with dignity and unconditional love in tow. You're a writer, for example. Do you have a body of work that is published? That's one question. Do you have a good editor that you trust? Do you have that relationship locked in? Tell me if you're a writer as an example in this imposter syndrome. Tell me your 10 favorite novels. Tell me your 10 favorite memoirists. Tell me about the literary theory that challenges your writing perspective the most. How many drafts of that thing that you want to write have you written? If you are answering no to any of those questions, I don't have an editor. I haven't been practicing. I haven't been sitting down to write every single day, like all the great writers in history have said. You have to sit down and write every day, every morning, write. And not in the morning pages way. I'm saying writers. Have you done that stuff? If the answer is no, and the question is, again, how do we deal with imposter syndrome? If you answered no to any of those, I have bad news for you and good news for you. You do not have an imposter syndrome. You are an imposter. You are judging yourself in the arena by the standards of the arena. And you're not in the arena. You're an imposter. Have you taken enough responsibility for your craft, which includes taking responsibility for your flaws, for your blind spots, for your horse shit, for your terrible writing style, for the mistakes that you continue to make, for the time that you waste numbing out or doing other things, doubting yourself, shaming yourself into paralysis, and calling that self-interrogation? If you are doing that, you're an imposter. Now, how do you get out of that? Did that hit anyone hard? Thank you for the likes, guys. Keep them coming. It helps me a lot. Did that hit? How do you deal with imposter syndrome? Anyone ever told you yes that you are an imposter? How you doing? Thank you for being here, guys. Hey, Jess, I see you. Now, how do you get out of that? Okay, so let's say you're a little bit of an imposter. Do you know what you're writing about? Do you know who you're writing for? If the answer to the question, why are you writing, and the answer is more or less related to some version of so I can feel better about my life, so I can process and tell people what happened to me, brother, you're an imposter. For sure. Guaranteed. Now, the question is, how do you get out of that? Okay, you're an imposter. Again, take your dignity and this unconditional love. What's wrong with that? You're an imposter. Okay, so what? If you're unconditionally loved and you found, damn, I lapsed into some ambivalence here. I got a little stuck. Okay, wow. Thank you, the unconditionally loving God who only wishes to help me create. Geez, thank you for letting me know. Wow, okay, damn. That's a little, okay, so it's on me. Whew, that's kind of a relief, actually, because I just thought I had a disease of imposter syndrome, that I was supposed to feel confident as James Baldwin, as the way that I feel about when I read James Baldwin, is how I was expecting to feel about my own writing before I even wrote it. How the fuck does that work? As a side note, related to imposter syndrome, perhaps this is related to for some of you. Thank you, Lily. was I about to say? Right. Confidence. If you please let me see if this tracks for anyone. Maybe it's not going to hit all of you. There's 27 of you on YouTube. There's 54 of you here. I would love some more. So keep the likes coming, guys. Thank you so much. Means a lot. If you feel like you haven't, this is something that I've learned as an opera singer. I'm an opera singer. And one of the great tough lessons is it comes in conservatory when a student kind of starts getting serious in their training. For me, that was around 20, 21, 22. I was a little older. I got a late start. And there comes a day, a moment in your journey as a young student, practicing every day, taking lessons, learning all the stuff about classical singing. There comes a moment when you realize, shit, I love singing, and I've loved singing my whole life since I was a kid. I love going to theater. I love choir. I love listening to beautiful voices. I love singing. I love hearing a beautiful voice. I'm a singer. And then you start to get into this aspect of your own voice and taking this seriously as your own art, as your own vocation, as your own aesthetic, artistic, athletic practice. And then a young singer realizes, like, oh my God, I can't hear my own voice. Did you know that? Did you know that singers can't hear their own voices? Not that you're totally deaf to the sound, but what you hear in your head is totally different than what the audience hears. If I were to make recordings of myself, which you do when you practice, that's what an opera singer does. You record every practice, you record every voice lesson, you record every performance, and you sit down and listen to it. And then every single time you're shocked because what you hear on the recording is not what you hear in your ear. When I'm performing, I cannot hear myself. If I try to listen to myself, I can hear a partial of it, a distorted version of it. But I can't actually hear what you hear. Right now, I can't, what I process as the sound of my voice is completely different than what you hear. How does this relate to this imposter syndrome question? If you feel like you have an imposter syndrome, that you don't feel like you belong, because you are waiting to feel as confident about your art as you do when you're an audience member. If I'm waiting to feel as confident about my voice as I do when I go to the opera and listen to my friends sing, when I listen to the old recordings of the great idols, the great performers of the previous generations, if I'm waiting to feel that way about my own voice, if I'm waiting for that, like, wow, you know those people that sing, who's your favorite singer? The most impressive voice you can think of? Whitney Houston. If I'm waiting to feel about my own voice the way I do when I hear Whitney Houston, I will be waiting forever. And that does not mean because I'm bad. It means because I can't hear myself. Why? Because art is a technology. It's not a job. It's not a money-making vertical. It is a supernatural technology. It is the most advanced aspect of the human experience. The most godlike. God is the creator. If you expect, the art is for the audience. It is for their subjective interpretation. It is not for you. If you want to love singing, go be in the audience. So that's another way I address imposter syndrome. The other, like I said before, you feel like an imposter, maybe it's because you are an imposter. Maybe, said another way, maybe you are ambivalent to the responsibility it takes to be engaged in art with seriousness. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, that's a very common process. It's your time, but yeah. So does that answer that question with imposter syndrome? There's a couple other questions in here. Does that make sense? Does that help anybody? What last one, Nate? Can you walk a middle path between advocating a philosophical framework and being a somewhat commercial success in an artist? Okay. I'm going to answer your question two ways. If you're anyone here been in my classroom, I can't really tell from your handles. Sometimes Lily is a committer. Des was in here a second ago. Anyone in? Let me get this in the Discord. You guys can join my Discord. Let me take a publicity break. That I run an online school for creatives. The spring semester just started, or just ended rather. The summer school starts June 15th. It's from June 15th to August 15th, 2 months. And we talk about, the theme is basically summer school vibes with your favorite professor, talking about how everything that I wish that I learned in art school about how to be engaged in your art like an adult with maturity. Said another way, how to disentangle yourself from this sophomoric manner of relating to your art the way that we needed to when we were sophomores, so to speak, of life, when we were developing artists. My thesis in all of my work with all my clients is that people are stuck not because they're broken, as you've heard me say. You have dignity and you are unconditionally loved. There's nothing wrong with you, but likely that you have perhaps, your life has, one season of your life has expired and you need to get into the other one, for which there is a rite of passage and a coming of age process. And that latter half of life is about service. And an adult artist has to make different choices, has to relate to their art differently. For example, you cannot, wanting your audience to validate your belonging in the field is not enough to get you out of bed as an adult. Any grown ass adult relate to that? At least relate to the idea that, to the feeling that it's harder to get out of bed and do your shit. And then here you go thinking that there's something wrong with you. Oh, is it getting harder for me? I must be broken. No, you need new gas in your tank. The new gas in the tank is the audience. We do not use our talents to validate ourselves. We use our talents to validate other people. If you have not thought about other people, brother. Anyway, so summer school is this 2-month-long curriculum about mature artistry, everything that I wish we learned about art making, teaching you how to be mature, how to be engaged in your art for a lifetime. And we're going to talk about, I have 5 modules over the 2 months. The first one is clarity, getting clear, how to discover and deepen your relationship to your audience, how to understand who your audience is in the first place, one, and start thinking about them in the first place. This is the high vision of your art. If you've already been through my class and you've done this, well, there'll be ways to deepen it. But you have to identify who your audience is, and you have to understand what the high vision of your art is. High vision of your art is, let's do that. Let's do that as an exercise. In the chat, everybody chat, type, what is the high vision of your art? Let's do an experiment. What's the high vision of your art? Try the answer. Try to answer it. What's the high vision of your art? What's the high vision of your art? High vision of your art. You all there on YouTube? Thank you. Okay. All right, so YouTube ain't participating. My high vision is to make others feel, okay, listen to this. High vision is to make other people feel less alone, to make others feel good. Animated show with other best cosplay wigs and best cosplayers, to awaken others to the creative power, to make others feel seen, to help another. So what if I told you that the definition of being an artist is to help people feel seen? That's the definition of being an artist. And you already are an artist. So said another way, that's not specific enough, nor is it high enough. And so this is something that it takes, anyone who's been through the Villain Challenge or worked one-on-one with me knows that this question, it takes a while to get to the bottom of it, or to the height of it, rather. No, I'm in Mexico. How lofty, and this is the thing, how do you, if you're stuck in your art, but you don't know where you're going, you don't know what the vision is, what the assignment is. Said another way, the high vision of your art is not what you see and what you want, because you are a steward, you are a servant. High vision of your art is not to become a New York Times bestseller. That might be a professional goal. That's not what art is interested in. Don't let me speak for you in your communion with art itself, capital A art. An adult artist finds themselves stuck because the path is not illuminated, and they think that they're broken if they get stuck in that place of this sense of there's no illumination. Oh, there must be something wrong with me. Everyone else seems to be illuminated. No. The quest intensifies if you have not noticed in this lifetime. Do you not see that in the world around you? Is it not getting more intense? You thought that if you got your little job, that it was going to be getting easier for you. Is it getting easier for any of you? Maybe in some ways, yes. But we're all moving and shaking together. We're all evolving together. The news is newsing. The world events are world eventing. The exploitation is exploiting. The wars are warring. It's getting more intense. So must your quest. Because we are human beings and we are responsible for one another. That's the design. Who in this, raise your hand if you were in a bad situation once and then you got out of it. That's all of you. Raise your hand. Who has ever helped you in this lifetime except for another person? I really want you to touch grass with that question, with the answer to that question. Who has helped you? Some of you are going to say, no one has ever helped me. That might be true. But I would wager that you got some inspiration from a song, from a stranger, at some point, a lifeline. Because whatever horror you've been through, it did not take you down. It's something that makes me sick about the way people relate to their lives. It's not against you guys. It's the forces that are against us. Constantly relating to themselves about how traumatized they are. Not that that trauma is not there. Not that those events were not devastating. Not you're wrong to be devastated by them. But please do not forget that whatever traumatized you, you survived. Yes, it traumatized you, but you survived it. I'm traumatized. Yes, I survived, though. And even that word, survive, I'm a survivor, sounds so, again, remember your dignity. So the first module in summer school is getting clear on the basics. What are the raw materials? If you're stuck in your path, it's because the assignment is already bigger and greater. And I would wager that experiencing that, which is already in your bones, you already know what it is. I promise you already know what it is. There's not one of you who's like, well, I have no idea. I promise you that's not true. Yeah, everybody in the chat is saying that they were helped by someone else. Now, guess what? It's your turn to help somebody. And how you do that is called art. And the efficacy and the design and the patterning and the intelligence and the aesthetic nature of how you help someone is what a human being calls art. Thank you guys for the likes. Okay, so here's an example. I'm going to take Chef's example. My high vision is to create art that speaks to the human experience so deeply it transcends time itself. Now, I love you, and that's great, but I would wager that that sounds wonderful, and it is true and necessary. I have no notes, except your vision is more specific than that. I would challenge everybody when they talk to me, when we go through this question. Everybody who comes to my classroom has to answer this question. Because you need a North Star, you need a guide, you need a brighter North Star to illuminate the next layer of the quest that beckons you forward. Resisting that work of interrogating And finding a brighter light is why you are stuck. You are not stuck because you're broken. You're stuck because you are pursuing this path with a flashlight and you need a North Star. Chef says, my vision is to create art that speaks to the human experience so deeply it transcends time itself. Now, something that I encourage, insist that everybody resist doing when they author their high vision is put it in your own language and to challenge yourself about what your own language is. So for example, the high vision in my art is to create, speaks to the human experience. First of all, what aspect of the human experience? You can do better than that. I say that with love. My tone is my tone. Anyone who's been in my classroom knows this is just my tone, and I say it with love. The human experience, what does that mean? This is one of these, I don't know you, but I'm going to take this as an example just in case it helps the class. We're used to just regurgitating words and then wondering why we're stuck. We do not give ourselves the permission to use our own language so freely. The human experience, to transcend time. These are fantastic concepts, no notes. There's nothing wrong with your idea. But in terms of getting clear and getting unstuck, if I'm not saying you are, but for other people, to make other people feel seen. That's a phrase we've been tossing around for the last 10 years on the internet, to help people feel seen. What does that mean? Who feels seen? What aspect of them needs to be seen? And why? What's at stake? What happens if after they are seen? That's what art is going to do anyway. It's a mirror. So after the mirror, what? What does the mirror feel like? Is it comfortable? Is it soft? Is it warm? Is it fire? Is it a blade? Someone else said, I want to help Black women embrace their own characters and magic. So the question is not, what do you want? It's not at all about your desire. This is what I'm saying. Anyone an adult in this room? A grown-ass adult with responsibilities. Ooh, a responsibility. Anyone got a responsibility? Anyone got a couple of responsibilities? Anyone got kids? The juggernaut of all responsibilities? Does that responsibility have anything to do with what you want? Or is it rather what must be done? My responsibility as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I'm speaking as if I were. My responsibility as a parent is what that kid needs, period. And if you start fucking around with that, that's when shit goes a little left. Am I right? So the high vision of your art, if you are stuck, perhaps you are relating to your art as if it's about what you want. Not that there's something wrong with you for orienting yourself that way. There's nothing wrong with having desires. Hold on, let me go get my phone charger. That's exactly right. No, you understood it properly. I asked this question the way that I ask it intentionally because tripping over it creates an ontological shock. You haven't done anything wrong. No, this is not a quiz. This is an exercise. This is a classroom. And I'm on your side. Everybody has to mature, come of age from thinking about art as if it's something that they want into thinking about art as if it's something that the world needs. And that's the struggle. So anyway, back to my shameless plug. Summer school starts June 15th. It is, module 1 is getting clear on the high vision of your art, writing an artist statement, and understanding who your audience is for real in a very rigorous, mature way. It takes people who go through my villain challenge, it takes me about 2 weeks to figure out what it is. And it's a very satisfying experience. The next module is about the body. It's a huge pillar of my work. I have a video on this on YouTube, a longer video. It's about 30 minutes. It's called, a big pillar of my work is called, a project is called the body of work. Enlisting your body in your creativity. A lot of you are stuck. Raise your hand if you're stuck in your art and your body feels like shit right now. Raise your hand if those two things are happening at the same time. I'm stuck in my art. So here's you. Here's you right now. Oh, ye of little faith. Oh, ye of insisting that God is not real. How's that working? Here's you. Man, I'm stuck in my art. Must be something wrong with me. Man, my body is literally physically stiff and feels like shit. Must be something wrong with me. And here's what every single fucking spiritual text in the history of our species, guys, I don't give a fuck about a New York Times best-selling book about how to 98 laws of the bad bitch girl boss. 48 laws of how to get a man in 98 days. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about wisdom that you don't even have to learn. You remember it. All of those sacred texts, every sacred text in the history of our species, the Bible, the Tao Te Ching, the Bhagavad Gita, they all insist, hey guys, lock into the body. Lock in. Hey, what do we have to thank the Hindu tradition for, other than developing religion in the first place? They're the first ones to be like, God, let's talk about it. What did the Hindu tradition give us? Yoga. Y'all think yoga is about stretching? Raise your hand if you think yoga is about stretching. Yoga is not even about the muscles, quite as it's kept. It's about fascia. Quite as it's kept. It's about fascia and the endocrine system, quite as it's kept. So the second module is based on this thing that I always say in my classroom, that creativity is not chased or pursued. If you're chasing creativity, if you're pursuing creativity, that's fear-based. You're already creative. Creativity is not chased or pursued. Creativity is hosted. And by what is it hosted? And I already know what some of you are going to say. Creativity is hosted by the body. You understand that? You understand that no matter what your creativity is, it's done by the body? You understand that? Can we touch grass for a second? You guys think that creativity is done by like some weird, ineffable, mysterious, imaginary, fraudulent thing of like being super better than everybody? Being gifted? Being a special child? Being better? Creativity is done by the body. By the body. The body is the most advanced technology in all of creation. Fuck a black hole. Fuck gravity. Thermodynamics. The body is the most intricate system in the cosmos. Millions upon millions, thank you, Kay. Millions upon billions of systems, all of which are oriented towards creativity. Half of you guys think that your body is there to help you heal, but you're not broken. So what is there to heal? Even if you're sick, listen to me, even if you're sick, you are still well. You understand? So the second module is all about the ancient wisdom, about enlisting the body in your creativity. One of my favorite things that I've learned in the last 6 months doing research on this subject is the idea of the joints. Foundation that you need to know about body of work is that your body is always asking and answering the question, Am I safe? Are you safe? Am I safe? Every minute of every second, every millisecond of every moment of your sentient life, your body is asking you, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe to do this and that and this and that? Now, let's factor that idea into the older idea of this fear of being seen. Am I safe? That's what the body is asking you. Always. Am I safe? Am I safe? And then here you are, because you've been on the internet too long. Body's asking, am I safe? And here you are being like, fear of being seen. Am I safe? Fear of being seen. You think those two things are separate. Is it making sense yet, or do you just need me to keep going? The body is asking, am I safe? And you have a fear of being seen. And then you think because you have a fear of being seen that you're broken. Just as a singular data point about the intricacy of the body and its involvement in creativity, that its primary objective is to support your creativity. Every system in your body, blinking, your skin serves a function in your creativity. Your digestion, your joints, this is one of my favorite little factoids. Your joints have little joints. People think joints are bending. What does the joint do? It helps bend. That's not what a joint does. For a supernatural being with elevated dignity, the joint has a bunch of processors, receptors that support the body's. When the nervous system asks you, "Am I safe?" The joints are a huge part of the body that participates in the answering. Are you safe? Yep. Or maybe a little. The joints do that. How fascinating. And so if you're stiff, your body's going to have a harder time telling you that you're safe. Is this clocking? I'm going to do another goal. Is this making sense? So the second module of summer school, first one is getting clear on the basics, understanding who your audience is, establishing the high vision, and writing an artist statement. If you don't have an artist statement, guys, I don't know what to tell you. If you're stuck and you don't have an artist statement, I do not know what to tell you. Except, yes, I do, and I want to help you. Your diaphragm is the part of your thyroid. I think thyroid in Greek means shield. Tending to your thyroid health is going to support that sensation that you call fear of being seen. This is your shield. Your diaphragm absorbs and insulates you from the disappointment of other people. If your diaphragm is stuck, stiff, dehydrated, whatever, you might be experiencing worried about pleasing other people or hurting other people too much. It's in the body, guys. There's nothing wrong with you. I could go on and on. If you feel a little shaky, if you don't feel strong, why don't you get strong? You know how when you work out, you feel strong? You are stuck in your creativity because you don't think that the body is intelligently designed explicitly towards creative, because you don't think you're creative. You think you're traumatized, flawed, broken, and damaged. That's what you think. Imagine God making a mistake. Imagine God making a mistake. That would be wild. Your little life form, 75 years, you're the fucked up one. What? So the second module is something I call the body of work, ancient wisdom on enlisting the body in your spiritual practice. In your creative practice. If you want to bring something new into the world, you need to bring your body. You need to strengthen your body, because Creativity is the act of making something invisible visible, and that alchemical transformation of the invisible to the visible happens only and exclusively in the body. It doesn't happen in the mind, not even a little bit. You think your mind is painting? Your eyes are painting. Your hands are painting. Your emotions are painting. You think it's your mind. Someone said, I think, therefore I am, and it fucked us up. It really did. Someone said the Enlightenment. And Buddha said, where? Where? The Enlightenment? What is that, the 17th, 18th century? Enlightenment, where? Creativity is a process. I'm repeating it for you, Daisy. Creativity is a process of making the invisible visible. That is what gives humanity its elevated dignity. The capacity to create with free will, unlike the flowers, the dolphins. We can get involved. You can have an opinion. No other creature in the cosmos can do that. The angels can't do that. Angels are only doing what is told. We, human beings, are given the gift of time and free will. Because every creature in the cosmos serves God. Every tradition says that. Can't escape it, even if you tried. Even you guys thinking that you're atheists. With love in my heart, I say that. Humanity is given free will and the construct of time so that we can exercise free will and create. Time and free will is a gift that supports creativity. Anyway, creativity is the process of making the invisible visible. Only humans can do that. The body is the location of that alchemical transformation between invisible and visible. It's not the mind. Even if it were the mind is inside the body. We really need to touch grass on that. You must touch grass. My mind. No, it's your body. So, summer school. Is anyone thinking about taking summer school while I'm out here talking about it? Thank you so much. 44 Tech, thank you. Charles Fisher, thank you. It means a lot, guys. Thank you for the gifts. The second, the third module is a subject that I'm very passionate about, spiritual warfare. A lot of you, again, the idea is that you have dignity and that you're not broken. Everything that I wish I learned in art school. This third module is spiritual warfare. If God is the creator, and wants you to create, do you think there's anything that in the world that doesn't want you to create? Again, you guys think told you, but the reason you're so damn discouraged constantly is because evil doesn't want you to succeed. I think a lot of people are stuck because, and I added the link to how to join summer school in the YouTube chat. I think a lot of people are stuck in their art because they, one, do not understand that creativity is a spiritual endeavor, infinitely more spiritual than it is material. If you've been fucking sobbing on the floor crying, going into the deep realms about your little watercolors and your little essay, you know what I'm talking about. It's not the matrix. Putting on Substack is the most arduous, irrelevant part. The rest of it is the inspiration, the 30 years that it took for you to understand the thesis, developing the language and meeting people and feeling inspired and getting goosebumps when you write the good sentence. That's a spiritual process, and it involves serving God. Every tongue shall bow, every head shall bow, every tongue shall confess that I am God, the creator. That's what you're doing. Whether or not you are religious or not, I'm saying that creativity is spiritual. A lot of people are stuck because their creative process is not spiritual for them. It's only vocational. It's only the matrix. It's only, do people like me? Did I go view count? Will people approve of me? Will I get out of 200 view count jail? Will I network? Will I get into the grad school? That's all good stuff and important stuff. You have to master all that marketing stuff, etc. It's important. But that's not what creativity is. And I wager that a lot of people are stuck. This is because they don't understand that creativity is spiritual. Now, generally, outside of creativity for a second, in my experience and in all the stuff that I study, and in my religious framework, I'm Roman Catholic. Spirituality is a huge part of my work. No aspect of it is here to evangelize. My focus is very rigorously creativity, but I am firm that if you want to be an adult engaged in art for a lifetime, you need to have a spiritual understanding of your art. You're going to get fried by the matrix. And that's what's happening, and that's why you're stuck. But in general, taking art aside for a second, taking art out of it for a second, if you struggle to understand God, understand evil. Thank you for the likes, guys. If you struggle to understand God, understand evil. If you struggle to understand how God is real, how he works, how much he loves you, what it moves, what it feels like, what he sounds like, all that shit. By the way, that's normal. God is hard to understand. God is everywhere. But he's hard to understand, and that's okay if you're struggling to understand that. If you have some doubts, some resentment, some confusion, that's fine. That's normal. But if you struggle to understand God, study evil. Understand how evil moves. Not in the metaphorical sense. Y'all be on this. Do DIY spirituality, and that's another thing I want to get into. I don't mean evil in the metaphorical sense. I mean evil in the literal, sentient sense. How does evil work? How does it talk to you? What are its rules? What are the cosmic laws that govern evil? What are its mannerisms? What are the mechanics of it? How does it talk to you? If you understood that, then you will realize, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with me. Satan's been on my ass since I was a child. And let me say this with my full chest. Because God is the creator, then creativity is godly. And your creativity is your umbilical back to God the creator, because you are creative. Is this making sense? Like, this should knock you on your ass, this God is the creator. And you're like, oh yeah, it's just the words, that's how people describe him. No, this shit is not metaphor and poetry. This shit is law and cosmic law. God is the creator. Everyone's like, oh, that's a beautiful sentiment. No, fuck a beautiful sentiment. I don't need a beautiful sentiment. Tell me like my dumbass human how to relate to God. Okay. In the beginning, God created. Oh shit. That's the first thing we know about God. It's literal. God is the creator. And when I cannot, this is probably going to be my favorite module in the course. If God is the creator and your art serves God, whether you, in some meticulous way, not like you're here to evangelize people and be a cringy youth pastor. I'm saying maybe you want to paint the beauty of a water lily. And God's like, yeah, get into it. Yeah, water lilies. Yeah, tell us about it. Sunsets. Cool. Heartbreak. Yeah. Tell the kids about heartbreak. Yeah. Help them feel comforted inside of heartbreak. Yeah. It's God. God is unconditionally loving. And your art, if done well, will help someone experience that unconditional love. Damn. Remember when Olivia Dean's album, this most recent album, got on the scene? And she was like, of course I still care. And you were like, shit, damn. I still care too about my person. Even though all those motherfuckers tell me I have an anxious attachment style and limerence. That's not what it is. I just care still. You feel seen and held inside of a universal experience that immediately it used to isolate you and cause you heartbreak. Now you feel seen and heard. Of course I still care. That is God's unconditional love being experienced through the technology of art. So that's your objective. Every human being is supposed to create. Now, when I don't even know how to comport myself in a way that makes me emphasize this. I don't know how to convey how serious I am with what I'm about to say. Your art is here to serve God and help make God's unconditional love accessible to other people. Satan, evil, does not want you to succeed. Under cosmic law, evil is only permitted to communicate to you through a lie. So find the first excuse your ass makes in relation to your creativity. There's this thing you know you got to do. Or the next thing you got to do. Damn, I really got to do X, Y, and Z. I really want to try that. And then what happens? Well, you can't do that because you're too traumatized for all that. You don't have enough money. You're not good enough. You're damaged. You're broken. That's a lie. Why? Because God is the architect of the cosmos. And all these spiritual traditions, I reference Roman Catholicism a lot, but we could go anywhere. Go into Bhagavad Gita. Go anywhere. Fear not. If God is for you, who could be against you? Art is supernatural. Your talent is a technology of mitigating the density of this lifetime. It's a blade. Your talent, your ability to speak, sing, your pattern recognition, your sensitivity is a blade that cuts the density of this lifetime so that God's unconditional love can pierce through it, through you and your body and your creation. Evil doesn't want you to do that. And I know for sure that evil has been frying your ass since you were a child. Does this make sense? So that's the third module. The fourth module of summer school starts June 15th. By the way, tuition is 20% off if you enroll by the 8th of June. There's a link here. There's also a payment plan. To make it accessible. If you pay in full, there's a further discount than the 20% off. The fourth module, again, summer school is the summer semester of my online school for adult artists. Everything I wish I learned in art school, but didn't. It's like this idea. It's like, oh, that's not something they teach you in art school. I wish they would have taught you in art school. You can't learn that in art school. And I'm like, well, why the fuck not? Sorry. There's sounds in the city. See? I'm experiencing God's unconditional love. My way has been unique. Expressing that is the challenge. Man, that's the gift. Why don't you touch grass for a second? I love you. And I'm going to say this with yes, it's the challenge. It's the challenge for all of us. Expressing God's unconditional love is the hardest thing a human being could ever do because it's God and it's unconditional love. And what the fuck happened? Wow. I don't understand it. Man, that's weird. Okay, I guess I'm still loved. That's really strange and challenging to my little bird brain. Okay. Yes, it's the challenge. But again, can we stop relating to ourselves fearfully? That's the challenge. Man, that's the gift. That's the privilege. That's the privilege. Oh my God, you will regret. You will be heartbroken in a way that none of us can conceive because we're not of that age or time. It's going to be a day when you're 85 and you can barely move your body and you wish that you could still wrestle with the challenge of expressing and sharing God's unconditional love. You will have 1 minute left at some moment in your life. And that is the thing that flashes before your eyes. Man, that's what, if people have near-death experiences, everybody who gets sent, her asses get sent back, they're like, man, nope, work's not done, man. Get back there and express the unconditional love. There is no great, I can say this with my full chest. There is no greater privilege than to wrestle for 40 years. As I'm 38 years old, I became Catholic this year. I've wanted to be Catholic for many years, but it finally happened officially this year. I'm an adult convert. There is no greater, I can't even express the privilege. It's impossible to describe unless you're in it. There's no way for me to articulate it in a way that doesn't make me sound like a cringy ass abusive Christian, the types that all traumatized all of us growing up. The hypocrites. I can't. God, give me the language. The privilege of being able to help people experience God's unconditional love. If I get my ass up and out of the way, I can't express it to you. I wish, and this is what I do. I need you to find it. Because let's talk about this, going back to the spiritual warfare thing. We have work to do. Y'all been on the internet watching the Palestinians get fried and the people being thrown in cages. None of that has stopped in the Congo. Unspeakable horror. Epstein. Remember when that all came out, when that got flushed on the timeline at the beginning of the year and we were all sick to our stomach? Here you are still thinking that it's just the Epstein list. It's just the heads of state and the billionaires doing it. No, man, everyone has a fucked up story, quite as it's kept. Everyone has an uncle that shouldn't have been doing this, that, and the third. Evil is afoot. Whose job is it to fight? Someone else? The legislature? No. The artist. Because that's what a human is. A human being is given. I saw this AI shit. AI is another module. It's the last module. Let me finish the modules before I start going off. So we did 3 modules. Third module is spiritual warfare, spiritual practices and rules for discerning evil in your creative process. Yeah, we got to talk about evil, like period. Evil's on the news at this point. So we got to talk about it. And we got to just make this shit normal. Because I can't have you all thinking that you're broken. No. Demons have been in your bloodline. Not that you're possessed, but I'm saying the Bible says that if you could see the legions and the principalities, it would if you could see them, it would block the sun. And that shit is real. And you need to know that if you're afraid, it's because you can either participate in the fortification of your senses or the exploitation of your senses. You have 2 choices in this lifetime. Anyway, that's the 3rd module. 4th module is, God, what is it? Let me look. I forgot what order I'm going in. Oh yeah, finances and business. How to make money with your art. I'm a Marxist, and I used to work in finance, so I have a very unique perspective on how to make money. There's a lot of this stuff. If you're in my classroom, if you're in my live, if you're in a chat, if you're one of my students, one of my clients, something like that over the last 3 years, you are very likely someone who is incredibly talented, but it hasn't been validated in the way that your instinct knows that it ought to have been. There's been a gatekeeper. You haven't gotten started yet. Can't get your shit together, or you have success in some area, but that creative aspect of you got on the back burner because of life, because of confusion, because of doubt, because whatever. And so now you're an adult and you need to make money. And a lot of you, are still carrying this idea that it's bad to make money for art because you think that if you sell your little basic bitch watercolors on Etsy.gov for $15 a 3x5 card of your little watercolors, you think that somehow turns you into Jeff Bezos. And you need to touch grass on that. And when I'm done with you, that's what I'm saying. We're adults. And you have dignity. As a Marxist, I could talk about this false consciousness around money and art for years. And in the fall semester, when the classes are a lot longer, the idea for the fall semester is you sign up for classes like you did in college. Like, okay, we're learning about mythology and artistry. We're learning about finances and business. We're learning about content creation. Just sign up for a class. That's the vision. Summer school is the teaser, and it's more community focused because it's summer school. It's fun. And we have a cookout. We have once a month, there's a cookout where you bring some aspect of your art. White people don't know what a cookout is. I'm sorry. I'm joking, kind of, but a cookout, fix you a plate. Everyone comes with bring something, and come with something, leave full. The requirement is like a show and tell, open mic night for your art. Okay, we got at least Becca now. The idea is that you bring your art, and the requirement of your classmates is to help you. Because y'all be some selfish ass motherfuckers, let me tell you, just ruminating all damn day long, as if it's not going to help you to help someone else. It's going to make you feel better. That's the whole point of this art shit, is to be of service. Your talent, even though you don't have a Nobel Prize or whatever shit, you haven't been invited to the Diddy party yet, even though you really want to go. Haven't been invited yet to sell your soul to the devil when do your little record contract and you hate yourself because of it, even though we had that whole Diddy shit and you're still mad at yourself, still beating yourself up because you didn't make it yet. You weren't supposed to make it with that group. You were spared. Someone remind me where the fuck I was. I'm all over the place because you guys pissed me off. I'm kidding. Someone remind me where I was before the Diddy parties. Anyway, help somebody. Yeah, help somebody. What if you get anyway, the cookout in summer school, we get 2 a month, one a month at the end of the month. Show and tell your work, be vulnerable with your art, because creativity requires an audience. I'm so sorry. You need an audience. I'm getting all in the camera like I'm getting close to your face. Imagine me grabbing you by the scruff of the neck. You know how like a mama kitten grabs the kitten and the kitten's like, I'm doing that to you now. Y'all are here afraid of the audience and your little fear of being seen. You need the audience. You need them. You don't know shit until your ass is getting got in the spotlight. You don't come alive until you're there. You just hiding around in the inspiration zone. Don't call that art, man. Call that decorations or call that therapy. That's not art. It's incredibly valuable, but art is science. And so a huge aspect of summer school is sharing and also helping. You are required. Everybody who's already signed up, there's about 20 people who signed up, are how they can help. Anyway. No, I'm serious. How many of you guys feel unethical for charging for your art? Like clowns. What I was saying, thank you. So the finance and business of art, I have a lot to say there. A lot of you are of the ilk where there's this stuff that comes out in the internet, like the course is like, charge your worth. I'm not the truism quotables girly, and I don't like it when people do that shit, because I want everyone to be tapped into the tradition, into the wisdom that is so durable that it has kept the species alive under dire conditions, including sabotage from evil. Keeping an entire species alive, even though they're being carpet bombed in the Holy Land. What do you think? What wisdom is supporting them? Know your worth. Attachment style. No, man. Dignity. That's why Palestinians, the murder of Palestinians in the gut in a way that you never imagined, as an American at least, we're the last citizens on earth to realize that everybody else been knowing this for the last 70 years. But why is it hurting us in the gut so much? Because Palestinians have an because they live on the Holy Land. Y'all think this is a metaphor? You haven't, raise your hand, and I don't judge you, or you just keep it to yourself, but raise your hand if you low-key don't give a shit, haven't really given a shit really about current events. But then this Palestine shit started happening, you're like, well, no, hold on, wait a second. I don't know what this is, but I don't like it. I'm conflicted, and the propaganda is confusing, and I don't know geography and shit, but I don't like this. First time in your life, it bothered you, as if it was almost your own. Anyone have that experience? Let's talk about why. Because Palestinians have dignity. One of my favorite photos is from, I forget which massacre of the Palestinians it was. I think it was in 2015. They get massacred every 2 or 3 years, in addition to the ongoing everything. This last one is unfathomable, but there's this photo of this man who's a paraplegic. His legs were cut off because of some shit when he was a child or something. And he's facing a tank in rubbles. And he's got a slingshot, a man in a shitty wheelchair, Palestinian in a shitty wheelchair with a fucking slingshot against a tank in warfare. Dignity. Talking about who the fuck do you think you are fucking with me? Convincing me that I'm less than. And so y'all be drinking this Kool-Aid all day long. Oh, there's something wrong with me. Where? Is life hard? Yes. Is there something wrong with you? No. Anyway, finances and business. You need to learn how to, a lot of the internet says that you feel reluctance to sell and get into the arena, making money from your art, starting your business idea, because you struggle to have your worth. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with your worth. Your worth is fixed. And if we want to get into the tea, any Christians in here? If you want to get into the tea, your worth was set in stone and paid for. But we can talk about that in a different classroom. There's nothing wrong with your worth, so stop trying to fix it. If you're an artist and you struggle to sell, I can talk about this Marxist lens forever, but I'll just go quickly. Imagine, anyone heard of slavery, American slavery? I want to teach this class in college. It would be the easiest class in the world. Anyone heard of slavery? Anyone heard of American slavery? Anyone remember how back in the day, American slaves were considered 3/5 a man in the Constitution of the United States? Anyone heard of that? YouTube hasn't heard of it. Okay, we've got 2 people in the chat have heard of slavery. Remember how back in American slavery it was illegal for slaves to learn how to read? Remember that? Anyone heard of that? So this is you. Anyone afraid, anyone feeling reluctant or immoral to sell their art? They can't figure it out. They feel weird charging money for their art. That's what's blocking them, at least one of the things. YouTube is the chat. The YouTube chat has totally stopped participating. I love you guys, but what's going on? For those of us who are afraid to make money, you're afraid that if you start making money with your art, imagine a slave that felt that there was something bad or immoral about them if they were given the opportunity to learn how to read. Oh, I can't read. That's for white people. That's not for me. Reading is bad. That's what y'all sound like. Said another way, in the Marxist framework, you suffer from a false consciousness where you have internalized the hegemony of our masters. You've internalized that as your ethics. And I need you to touch grass. It is impossible for you to become. Let me go inside. Anyway, so again, I am a finance girly and a Marxist. In finance, I worked for a venture capitalist. All I did was start businesses for people, for my boss. So we got to talk about turning your art into a business. Hold on. The final module for summer school is systems of creative maturity. How to, market yourself. Again, this is not me. I'm not a marketing guru. I've managed to market my own business. But I want to talk about how to get comfortable. Hold on, I drank too much water. Hold on, guys, talk amongst yourselves. Is the video on YouTube delayed? Hey. Anyway, marketing, making content, using AI with integrity. That's the last module. Okay, good. I'm glad. Anyway, summer school runs June 15th to August 15th, 20% off tuition. We call it tuition. I don't want you to think it's $50,000. It's not. It's very affordable. But you get 20% off if you sign up by the 8th, which is on Monday. The link is in bio. It's called Summer School. Any artist, creative, entrepreneur of any level, of any type. I don't know how to fix it. Anyone have any questions about summer school? Anyone thinking about joining? Why is my internet so slow? Oh, the sound is fine. That's good. Of course you can. Everything is art, guys. Your life is art. You don't have to, we're not. Oh my God. Would I ever become a nun? No. Maybe, if God told me to, yeah, I would. I'd start with just being a good Catholic for now. Catholicism is fire, by the way. It's absolute fire. I mean, that's a stupid way of describing it. Catholicism, to those who don't know, Catholicism means universal. The church, Catholicism sees something very clear, that Catholicism is not a religion. Catholicism is the church. The church, with a capital C, is not religion. Trying to get into the religious nonsense. There's the necessity for the sacraments and structure and order, but a religion, nah, that's not what we're on. Catholicism simply means universal. Yes, I do. It's on my YouTube. Is the video a little bit better? It seems to be. Thank you, Divine Design. All glory to God. So, yeah, I am once again encouraging you to sign up for summer school. I'm very proud of it. There's about 20 people signed up. I'd like to keep it small. I think I would accept maybe 50. Usually everyone signs up on the last day for some reason, but art is a technology from God. Art is a technology of God. Art, your talent, this is what I have to say, that your talent is a technology. Your talent is whatever thing makes you feel like you have God in your bones. That thing in you that is better than every other aspect of you. Not because you got an A+ for it in high school. Maybe those two things do coincide. But your talent is that thing, that pattern recognition, that ability that is just better than every other aspect of your little dumb ass. Like, man, I can't lose those last 15 pounds. I can't communicate effectively in relationships. But man, I can sing. That's weird. Where'd that come from? It's a talent. Sometimes it's rewarded by the matrix and recognized by the matrix. Sometimes it absolutely is not. These days, we call the ones who are not recognized by the matrix You guys there? On YouTube? Can you have the same talent as everybody else? I'm going to answer this question honestly because I have to answer and do my work with integrity. You already know the answer to that question. I say that with love. I'm saying that with love. I say that for a very specific reason. I want you guys to start thinking and answering your own creative questions. Now, can you have the same talent as somebody else? Of course. I would wager that I would give you the courage, and I would encourage you rather to think about your talent as something incredibly specific. I was saying before that people whose talent has not been selected by the marketplace, we call those people autistic. Oh, I have pattern recognition. You guys are just the way that the internet and the self-help industrial complex renders us completely godless makes me sick. Oh, I'm pattern recognition, man. Stripped of your godliness, of your supernatural nature, just in the language that and from the shit that you consume daily. God is source. No, God is God. Let it be God. What do you mean? That's another thing I don't know if I have the space to get to in this summer, but this neurodivergent conversation, y'all gotta stop. Now I know that the world does not make, I got paint or something on my shirt. I know the world doesn't make it easy for you, neurodivergence, which you have to stop relating to it as if it's a curse or a disease, because it's not. You're advanced. Let's touch grass. Let's be honest. People with dyslexia are better readers than us. You read better than us. Oh my God. DJ Mnemonic, thank you. Oh my God, that's the biggest gift I've ever received. I thank you, I thank Creator for you, for your discernment and all you've traversed, providing the ability. Thank you so much. Isn't it feeling like time to like low key? God is like, okay, low key, all right. Something's got to give. Thank you so much. I'll post this live as long as I think the recording or the live was a little disrupted. As long as it's not disrupted, I'll post the on my channel. This is a good one. Well, this was a good live. Anyone, before I go, any questions about summer school? Anyone in here who's already enrolled? I even hate that we diagnose things. Somebody's saying, I have dyslexia and it was undiagnosed. Like, diagnose what? Like, I understand, but it's not a disease. It's a disease because, I mean, imagine telling a child that they have attention deficit disorder because they can't sit in a classroom at the age of 7 for 8 hours straight. What the fuck? Y'all got to stop thinking about yourself like that. Is summer school? It's yeah. I would say. I mean, I've never met an 18-year-old that resonates with my stuff is for adults. Doubt, fear. You know what I'm saying? That's adult shit. That's grown folks conversation. Doubt, ignoring, numbing out, fear of vulnerability. That's not child shit. Yeah, there's about one thing about my classroom is that, and this is the thing. This is the thing that gives me the courage to talk, especially about this spiritual warfare stuff. Y'all are just so full of doubt. And you just believe whatever the gatekeepers, whatever the oppressors have told you, like, oh, I'm bad. I've got a fear of being seen. There's something wrong with me. That's why I didn't pop off when I was 20. Everyone else did. And now there's something wrong with me. No, man, you were spared by the grace of God, because half that shit, every institution that we see right now is overcome with someone who is on the Epstein files. It is no good out there, left and right. Not that everybody's bad. Not that everyone is morally compromised, but there's a lot. It's intricate. It's complex in there. And so the people who come to me, like they have no idea how talented, like they tell me their ideas in a one-on-one or something like that. And I'm like, oh, or they're showing me their art. And I'm like, and they just have no confidence because they're not millionaires. They're not a million streams on Spotify. They can't get out of 200 view count jail, all this bullshit that has become the metric of creativity. And find me a chapter on networking in the Bhagavad Gita and the Tao Te Ching. Oh, it is giving girl with the pearly ring. Low key. Do you know what I mean? You'll be like, oh, I can't seem to go viral. And you think you're broken. And so everybody in my clients and students, like they tell me their idea, even if it's just in the head or if it's ill-formed, like they're just kind of vomiting it out because they've never had the courage they've never had a space that felt supported enough to explore a really new, scary idea. I'm convinced that the ideas will change the world. There's about 20 of those people enrolled already. And a huge component of this class, and someone is asking, can you join from different time zones? My lectures will be 7 p.m. or 5 p.m. my local time. So that's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, but you get replays. But then there's 2 months. You get 4 2 to 3 hour lectures with me throughout the 2 months. I also have office hours, 4 office hours. So you can ask questions, review, get support for your work in a group setting, office hours, just like in college. So there's 4 lectures, 4 office hours. Then we have about at least 4 or 5, like I have some people who've been through the course or through my classroom several times, and they're like graduate students, like TAs. They will be leading group accountability sessions. You also get access to the Discord where there's unlimited, like, if you just want to brainstorm, hang out with somebody, if you want to meditate, if you want to do yoga together, if you want to do YouTube bullshit together or whatever, if you want to brainstorm. Like last month, they had like a painting and water, a color theory night. And so one of the painters in the group just hosted color theory night, and people brought their kids onto the Zoom and they were just learning how to paint and shit. Somebody gave a fascia workshop, fascia one-on-one, the relationship between fascia and creativity. This is all part of my monthly community. The monthly subscription community is independent of the classroom. But if you're in summer school, you get access to both. But summer school, again, you get 4 calls with me, plus the replays, about 10 hours of lectures, maybe a little more. Then you get 4 office hours with me. That's another 4 to 6 hours of time with me, plus the replays. You get 4, 5, 6, 7 group activities that are scheduled, that the graduate students will facilitate something to help support integration of the weekly lesson. And then you get 2 cookouts, which is basically an open mic night where everybody has to help you. Like, hey, I am networking. I like your project. I know a guy in publishing, or I'm an editor. Here's my advice. Someone in the group will help you. How late am I? 2 hours. Yes. It's online. Everything's virtual. It's on Zoom. I'm very proud of this. Damn, I didn't get any signups. You guys have any questions about the course or any hesitations? I think you guys can tell that I'm good for my money. I'm not going to waste your money. Not even slightly. This is the first course that I've done that's 2 months long, because the number one feedback that I get on like all my reviews is that the course is like, there's too much in a 30-day course that we can manage in a 30-day course. So give us more time. This is also the cheapest my prices will be also, by the way. Thank you very much for the gifts, guys. All right, so I think I'm gonna head out, unless you guys have more questions about summer school. So thank you. I like this one. Summers, this one's so funny. Summers, thank you. Oh my God, let me take a screenshot. It was so funny. Summer school, the 8th is when the 20% off expires. But you can enroll into the 15th, and there'll be a payment plan as well. There's a 3 installments payment plan if that helps. Or you get a further discount beyond the 20% if you pay in full. A cookout, it's a metaphor for, it's an art cookout. So everyone brings some art that they want to share, and then everyone else helps them. Yes. How often am I going to do what? Summer school? Only in the summer. Thank you very much, guys. All right, I'm gonna head out. One final favor, especially for those of you on TikTok, I just posted a video. Again, if you're not able to join summer school, engagement on the algorithm is currency for me. So if you can go to my last video and do the whole thing, like, subscribe, or like, comment, 5 words, repost, it does a lot for me, more than you realize. It would mean a lot to me. I always ask, and then people don't do it, but I always have to ask. It's a good question. That will I be able to dive? Everybody, if they bring their work, they should get some attention from me. But rigorous help is best for one-on-ones. But when you're in the course, you get discounts to my one-on-ones, steep discounts. Cool. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's good to see you, Hex. I appreciate it. Like, subscribe. Any support that you can lend is helpful. I'm on a mission. Cool. Thank you. All right, bye, guys.